client.
Hi, I'm Katie Schofield and I've got Victoria Glam. And if you've ever considered throwing in the PMU towel, then you need to keep watching this live stream because we are going to help you with your work. We're going to push your permanent makeup forward. How are you doing, Vic?
I'm doing great. And I'm very excited for today's it's the first time that we can actually be interactive with our client because we've changed the format a little bit here. So we can see work that's been submitted and we can correct it. And that is so exciting to me because it's literally like a free coaching call.
This is a free coaching call. And I've helped thousands of artists grow the skills as well. And you've also, as well as being a trainer, you've also pushed hundreds of artists to grow and scale their businesses.
Absolutely.
So if things are tough for you now, then you need to keep watching. We've had people sending in their work, asking questions, and we're going to help you live on the call. So I'm going to start off with some questions. Can I first just please excuse the noise? It's the hottest day of the year in the UK, thank God, but all the windows are open because otherwise I would die. So I'm going to go straight to some questions. Let's have no messing about. Right, I'm going to see if you've heard about this. Hi, Katie, can I ask your opinion on permablend pigments, please? I keep hearing stories of the pigments fading faster than they used to. I always thought they were one of the better ones on the market. I'm all right if you don't want to recommend, but I understand. I just wanted to know if you've heard anything. Have you heard this?
Have I heard that they're fading more often than others? I have not heard that.
Or maybe fading more quickly than they used to?
I haven't heard that either. I wonder if that has to do with REACH compliance.
Quite possibly, but for REACH compliant, Permablend made Permablend Lux, which is their REACH compliant line. It's not something I've heard, so I don't really feel that confident commenting on Permablend specifically because it's not a brand that I use that much. No disrespect to them, and I use Carla's Embody and Enhance, which are made in collaboration with Permablend, but it's not something that I know that much about.
Yeah, I've used Permablend a bit in my career. I'm not currently on the Permablend bandwagon. I don't dislike them. I just found other products that worked really well for my purposes. But when I was using them, certainly I was actually seeing the opposite, that they weren't fading very quickly. And because I am a fundamentals instructor, I train a lot of beginners. I actually felt like I was giving fresh new baby artists who didn't really know their depth or their hand speed yet. I was giving them kind of like a loaded gun by giving them Permablend. So that's why I moved into more inorganic pigments and very soft healing lines so that they would fade out more. So I would say I had the opposite experience with Permablend.
Yeah. It's not something that I've heard, and I've not even seen it in the dreaded Facebook groups either. It's not something that I've heard. So I am unaware of this issue. It's not something that I use that much. I have used Permablend on eyes in the past, but other than that, I can't think of any other reason. But if people are saying it, is it technique? Is it down to REACH? I don't think so. Or have they changed the formula? It's not something that I'm aware of. But if you're getting bad results, it could be technique, or maybe it's time to just switch and try something else.
Yeah.
Agree?
Agree. I think we buttoned that one up.
Yeah. It's not something that we can really comment that much on. Hi, ma'am. That's very polite. I'm going to say India.
Okay.
I'm saying India.
Maybe.
Hi, ma'am.
Even Sri Lanka, that's how Thela speaks. Yeah.
Very polite, very polite. I've just spoken to Thela actually. Very polite. But when people say "Hi, ma'am," or start a sentence with "actually," I go, "I've been to India 10 times, so I have a lot of experience of speaking to people in India." Hi, ma'am. Why is fee pigment never lasting long with the clients? I mean, the clients have medium skin tone to like medium light skin tone, but have a warmer skin tone and more melanin. I'm going to get you to come on my course because instantly I'm like,
there's a lot of variables in that one question.
Yeah. Here in Northeast India.
You called it. Okay, let me preface this by saying I have never used fee pigments and I've never seen fee pigments in person. So I don't know anyone who uses them. I've never seen, I couldn't even tell you what the bottle looks like. I don't know anything about fee pigments. So you're going to have to count me out on this one.
Me too.
We can talk about the variables in it, I guess. Let's talk about melanated skin. Let's talk about what else there was a lot in there. Run that by me again.
And there's oily skin and so we need to be considering all these things when we're picking a pigment. But one of the big misconceptions is that if you've got more melanin in your skin, it warms the skin up.
No. Opposite.
So I'm like, whoa, no. Another, so that's a variable there. And the big question that is the first thing on my mind in this is, why are you really bothered that they fade after a year? Because I tell you what, I'd rather them fade after a year than be still there 20 years later, no different.
Yeah.
Well, not no different, but blue.
Well, because faces change over time. So I don't necessarily want a very saturated, thick, bold brow. From the day that I put it on until the day that they bury you. I don't want that for you. Styles change, preferences change, but also your face structure changes and your brows change because the hair grows more sparsely or whatever. So I much rather to touch up every 18 to 24 months than to have something that, plus, if we're being honest, it's a business, not a charity. So if you do a client and then you never need to touch them again,
you're running out of clients.
Yeah.
So this was a two-part question. So my thing is, I don't know why your feed pigments are coming back. It could be technique, it could be the pigments, but you need to know what's in the pigments. And this is the whole thing that I can do 3 tests that make me know exactly how that pigment is going to behave. There's 3 tests, and it's as simple as that. And then I know what I'm working with. I don't need marketing. I don't need to look at Facebook groups. I know what it's going to do because I can see it. So all those questions can just be answered by learning those 3 tests, which would take me far longer than this live to explain to you. By the way, ma'am, could you please dive into GM Permanent Makeup, which are a good brand from Thailand. I've only found some in Facebook. I want to switch to this brand. Could you dive into Asian good brands? That's going to be really tricky for me to do because we probably don't sell that much Asian brands over there, because Asian laws generally are very different from European, and a lot of the stuff won't fly over here, won't be sold over here. And then, so I'm not saying specifically GM, I don't know anything about them, but there are very different rules in different countries, and we have to abide by the rules over in Europe, which are the strictest.
Yeah. I got not slammed, but I got a little bit of pushback when I first changed my pink cream labels. If you don't know, if you're watching this live and you don't know, my name is Victoria Rocca. I own Brow Sister PMU products, and we manufacture pink gel and pink cream, which are, in my opinion, the best numbings on the market. Now,
mine too.
Thank you. So when I first started selling, I was selling in the States where I am and where I create things. But when I started shipping to other people who wanted to order for like their student kits or their own store or whatever, fine. But then they had their own demands about what had to be on the label or what couldn't be on the label to get both through shipping itself and then also to be legal to be on the shelf at their shop. And everybody had such different requirements and demands that I had to change my label twice. And somebody was saying, well, I don't even think that's the real thing because my label doesn't look like that. And I had to enter a Facebook board, which is not the place that you represent your business. That could be just anyone, and say, hi, I'm the owner of this business. And your governments are all giving me hell, each and every one of them. So that's actually a very real thing. And it's a huge pain in the ass for the manufacturer.
Yeah. I mean, but they might not even be accepted over here. REACH compliant pigments are the toughest in the world. So something in Thailand, this might not even work over here. So
yeah, just depends on what their regulations are.
So I'm probably not going to do a deep dive into that because I'm probably not going to use them. So I won't be the person to ask. Personally, I'd just stick with the things that are safety tested. But if they are, knock yourself out. But I'm not your girl for that one because I've never heard on that.
Yeah, but I think that if you want to go and explore the GM pigments, whoever asked that question, if that's what you want to explore, then use Katie's 3 tests and you can put any product line through that.
Any.
Jasmine's in the back.
We have Jillian saying, I love your video. This is about removal. Thank you. I recently got saline solution removal for my freckles. Are there any warning signs of scarring or anything going wrong? I didn't realize how painful and long this process would be.
Poor baby.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And this is the thing as well with freckles is if you're going to use heavy carbon pigments on those, they're going to go blue, gray over
Yeah.
time. And freckles aren't blue and gray generally. So yeah, I think that it's not that I'm against the freckles. I just think they kind of, a lot of people do a really nice job of them. But if you're going to if it's about what you use and how they're going to age, because that's on your, it's all on your face. But I've seen them go green. Have you?
Yeah, and I know you know this. It is because as they're breaking down that color, this color leaves first, then that color leaves, and then what we're left with is the last remaining colors. So until you understand your CI number and you know what colors make up this one pigment that you're putting in someone's face, you can't be sure of how it's going to deteriorate. So there's this thing called light fastness. If you're watching the live and you want to know a little bit more about it, just Google light fastness. And basically it's the way in which a color breaks down in the sun. You can apply that same theory to laser removal or saline removal in that it's going to break down piece by piece, and what you're left with is the base color or the longest lasting color or whatever. So it's not that your pigment turned a color, it's that you remove the other colors.
Yeah. And also there's some like separation of them as well. And certain ones have a tendency to surface more. And again, because you've talked just about laser then and saline, laser sees different ones because
Yeah.
it sees different spectrums. So there's some that are great for lasering, like carbon. If anyone watched last week, because it's got a really molecularly less dense, so it's really easy to bash up with a laser. But like titanium, that goes horrendous under laser. So it's again, you need to know what's in your pigments. I'm just on this mission to make everyone know, like literally what is in each thing, so that then they know. Was it Alice that said to me, Alice Kingdom the other day said to me, she really thinks that you shouldn't put something in the skin unless you know how to take it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So this poor lady, I think she's not a client of mine, but she's come to my channel because she's having, removal, and has clearly gone and looked into removal and gone, oh, this is like some long thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And honestly, if you're doing saline removal and you've had those freckles in your skin for, I'd say 3 months or longer, I don't know how much saline is going to help you. First, because I don't know what kind of pigment was implanted in your skin. So I don't know how much saline is going to help. But secondly, I really find that saline is most beneficial and effective in emergency situations when the pigment hasn't had time to deposit deep in the skin. So the first 24 to 48 hours, you put it in there and it can kind of corrode the pigment, in a manner of speaking, and come up and form a scab and be removed from the body. But otherwise, I typically say, don't waste your time, don't waste your money, just go and get lasered.
Yeah, or especially if you've got carbon in there, it's just going to be so much quicker. And actually, sometimes just laser and saline work really well together. But with regards to any early warning signs of scarring, yeah, you're going to see redness if you're getting a lot of
sensitivity.
Sensitivity, redness, raised skin. Those are warning signs of scarring, and no removal is nice. No removal is nice. It is far, far better to know your pigments and know your technique and know what you're putting in. Seriously, this is what I was talking about with our color theory course that's coming up. It's like the cost of it versus what's sending one person for laser. Just, it's.
I'd rather know and understand each of the pigment lines that I work with than ever have to say, I'm sorry, I've you up and I'm going to pay for you to go and get these 3 or 4 sessions of laser, because it doesn't just hurt you financially to have to pay for them to go and get laser, but also in the United States, let's hope they don't sue you. And it's not really a good look for your business. And if everybody's walking around saying like, well, I had to get mine lasered, or don't go there, or look how blue or gray mine was, and you can't predict how something's going to heal inside people, your business is going to tank very quickly. So financially, it's a disaster for you to not understand what you're putting in the skin. Yeah, but people are just guessing because nobody really teaches CI numbers and molecular weight. Nobody really teaches even, what was I just talking about? What did I say? Light fastness.
Yeah, and light fastness works. It's not just a pigment.
That's how quickly I forget what I say.
Who are you? Light fastness also works across the board in fabrics. You know, it's not just it's all colors that break down differently in the light, and different pigments break down differently in the light. So and they'll have a different
And they
longevity.
separate while they're just sitting as well. So of course they separate in your skin too. So
Yeah.
like this one that I'm holding, you can see the ring of lightness around it where things have settled, where that titanium has settled. And then on the inside where it's a little pushed in, like it hasn't settled there, that's where some of the colorant is. So just sitting here by itself, it's separating. It's going to do
Yeah.
that in your skin too.
And that's because titanium's really, really heavy. Who was it? I was with Carla actually, and she gave me a bottle of white, and it was almost pure titanium dioxide. Do you know you could have actually sort of made your bicep firmer holding that bottle? It was so heavy. See, look at that. Now you've now dispersed it, but you could actually see that light ring will be the titanium that's gone to the bottom. Minerals tend to sink a little bit more because of the molecular weight. So I think that's all the written questions that were sent in. Now we're using new software. I'm going to try and present.
I'm so excited about the presentation.
It's just photos, but
no, like the ability to present now.
Oh, I know, right?
Because you can give feedback in real time. It's so nice.
I know, right? Present. Please let me know that you can see that.
I can see it.
Hooray!
I look so much prettier with my lashes done, my hair done. Okay, so we've got a skin here.
Students. This is one of our students who's recently joined our mentorship, and she's working super hard. Do you know who I mean with the really cute baby?
Yeah.
So she submitted some of the work, and I said, right, I'm going to do it on YouTube, and I think she's watching. So if you are, also, I'm just going to say something else afterwards as well. I'm going to show you, Victoria, this box that I got in the mail, where she's made me these gorgeous cosmetics that smell insane. Honestly, it's the most beautifully packaged box. So thank you so much for that. I really, really appreciate it. But this lady's new. She's new on the scene, and she's working really, really hard. And I think that your work is lovely. What I would say on here, so feedback for here, is learn to outline your brows a little bit more, measure them properly, because it's going to really help you with mapping. So you'd want these lines, the upper and the lower line, to be more parallel, because otherwise what you're going to end up with is a tadpole brow, and we don't want that. But here you've kind of got more of a shape in. So I always say to people that if you're going to be doing drawing out your brows on latex, take as much care with your shaping of them as you would on a person, because it's going to really up your mapping skills.
Yeah.
And
well,
also
the one you were just pointing at, the empty one on the left-hand side, left. Yeah, that one is flat. It looks kind of like the outline of a whale.
Yeah. Yes.
There's no arch at the top. There's only arch underneath.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it needs more shape in it. So you want to be so follow. In fact, you can see you've put a little dot in there. So let's actually bring that dot to the party.
To the party is funny.
So, but the hair strokes, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I know how hard she's working for a newbie as well. So this is you trying the rainbow pattern as well. And I always just say, just try and keep your strokes a little longer, because what that happens is you don't end up with stripes.
Yeah.
Keep your strokes longer, and if they stretch out like that, then it's just so much easier to start the next staircase, I call these. And then you don't get that gap, and you don't get that sort of stripy look, because you would see that from a distance on a person. It would look like
Adidas stripes.
Yes. Yeah. So make sure I would even double the length of those strokes so that they all mesh together. But do you know what? When I train people, I make them do 100 perfect sets of brows on paper fully before they even walk in the classroom. Do you know why? Because I'm trying to get muscle memory, so that by the time they work on a person, they've got that muscle memory down.
Okay, this shading is perfection.
Gorgeous.
Nary a stripe.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So, and these look like they've been done nano to me. Do they, you, Vic?
Yeah.
Rather than microblading, in which case, as a new artist, I think that you're gonna give everyone else in the area a run for the money. But yeah, to get shading like this, how would you advise, Vic?
How would someone get this? Well, first of all, you have to have a rhythmic pattern already in your head and follow it to the T, because this brow is a brow of repetition.
Yeah.
Secondly, to make sure that there are absolutely no stripes in them, you're going to have to make sure that you're overlapping each section by 50% or more.
Mhm.
So I always, if I have a section this wide that I just did, I'm bringing my needle back all the way to right here. So I would call that, I don't know, 2/3 of the way back. And then I'm making the new section. So
Yeah.
I'm going back 2/3 in, and then I'm going, I don't know, a third of the way, 2 steps back, 1 step forward, basically. And the reason for that is, number one, it's going to smooth everything out and really blend. So there's not going to be stripes. And number two, you're going to work faster because you're not going to move your hand faster. You're not going to turn your machine up, but you're doing double the amount of saturation in one pass. So it's going to work better for the client because they're not laying there being tortured, and it's going to work better for you because you're being rhythmic and you're making sure that everything's fully blended before you move on to the next section.
I think as well, you mentioned the big thing: stop turning your machine up and moving your hand too fast. Work slow and concisely, and you're going to just. I do most of my brows in one pass. You know, I
Yeah.
can get it done in one pass just because I work. Just like you said, you work consistently. But there seems to be this sort of urge to have your machine on crazy high, and we work really low, don't we?
Yeah, oh yeah. I'm a 3-4. And I know a lot of machines, especially intro level machines, like price wise, things that you can buy for $150, they start at a 6 or a 5 voltage, and that simply
6.5 of them.
it's way too high.
Yeah. And some people have said to me, well, how do I stop that? And I'll say, turn your machine down. They go, it's as low as it goes. And I'm like, well, then it's not okay.
Yeah, then you have to
So
get another
what
machine
else
that's
do you
suitable
want
for
me
what
to
you want to
say?
work on.
If your machine is so fast that it's making banding on people's skin, you need to not be using that machine. There's no other way. You know, if I'm saying to you, you need to slow your machine down, you need to slow your machine down.
Yeah.
So there are definitely, I mean, the Fleiss pens that we use, they go down super low, 4, 3.
Yeah, a 3. I cannot impress upon you enough how impressive this machine is. And that new Fleiss that came out where you can change the hit so you can do every procedure with it.
Yeah, game changer, which is why I said game changer on my thumbnail.
She was in her bag that day. Veronica was like, oh yeah, I'm about to get some good money because I'm going to make every machine that you could ever possibly need. And I'm every woman, baby. This all you
Yeah.
need.
Also, low vibration is another thing. So when we're talking about nano, like these strokes here, it's so much easier to control a machine that is low vibration.
Yeah.
And a lot of the entry level machines, because there's nothing wrong with them, they're not bad machines.
Yeah.
It's just that if you want to get refined work, I think that something that you can turn down so that you are in control, something that's not too heavy for nano, because the weight of it, you can go too deep, but something where the vibrations are lower, because it's like trying to control a bucking bronco. You know, you're trying to draw a hair with something that's vibrating.
When you just said the magic word is draw, it's so easy for me to draw with this. It's so difficult for me to draw with this or thicker. So when I'm using like the machine that I would use for body art, it's much thicker, much heavier. And I'm going to try and make a dainty, fine line with that. I can, but it's so much more difficult to manipulate than doing this, which I'm already used to manipulating to draw lines.
Yeah, and so why do you want to make your life harder? Because that's
Yeah.
the thing for me with moving to something that was easier to control for nano, just makes it so much more pleasant, you know, just such a more pleasant procedure with better results, and you're just not running that risk as well if you've got something that's heavy and moving too fast of going too deep and blowing out, which is really quite easy to do with nano.
Oh, big time, especially if you're going over it more than once.
Yeah. Oh god, yeah, absolutely.
That
Okay, we've got some nano here from our lovely friend Christina, who has been through our mentorship. She's part of PMU, and Christina is somebody that I look up to massively. She's done so well in our program. She's fully booked all the time, hired a daughter, and she came not trained in nano and is now loving doing nano. So we love Christina, don't we?
I sure do. I love Christina. And I like the taper on that. What is it? The second hair stroke here. I like the taper at the top, how it just trails off. Very soft. These are going to heal super soft.
Yeah.
So to the untrained eye, these look very red and very bold and even a little weepy, but I would be willing to bet that she probably is not just weeping. Maybe there's some ointment on here. Maybe not. Maybe there is, but definitely I can see the future, and I know how these are
Yeah.
going to heal.
Well, this is the thing, that these can look a little scary, and this is why Christina submitted this, because she's moved into nano and into high pigment load organic line, and because of that you have to modify the absolute bejesus out of them, which means sending clients home with brows that are a little bit on the orange side.
Yeah, but they're not going to stay that way, because as they cool down, when they heal, it'll actually just neutralize.
Yeah, completely. So this, for that range, is right. So, you know, some of these pigments need modifying with a ratio of like 50% orange in them. Whereas if you did that with something mineral based, oh my God, the brows that would come back to you. So again, it's just understanding how these pigments work. So, you know, that woman, when you're looking, you'd have to pre-warn your client, wouldn't you, to say they are going to look warm, and that is what we want. We want to be sending you home with them a little bit on the, oh wow, that's orange side.
Yeah. And I think a lot of times our work as an artist is done before the client lays in the bed, at least on, you know, the actual day that we're providing the service. So if it's in a consultation beforehand, great. Otherwise, maybe it's in lots of educational content that you're pumping out just to let them know this is normal to look this way on your way home. Because otherwise, that's when you're going to get people calling you at 11 o'clock at night having a panic attack. Please don't come to me. Please don't come to me.
So yeah, so for this kind of skin as well, because she's got cool tone skin. If you don't think she's got cool tone skin, then you really need to come to our color theory course, because she's got very cool tone skin. And these will need this amount of modification to heal normally. And they do. I've seen these pigments 2-3 years down the line, and my God, they still look amazing as long as you treat them properly and use them properly.
So for somebody who's just entering high load pigments and who's just starting to have to really pre-warm things and modify, what are the warning signs that you're looking for, or maybe even just the hallmarks of ratios for modifying? Because a lot of times people say, well, warm that pigment up. And to a novice, they're thinking, how many drops do I put in? Or how do I know what the ratio is? Or how do I know what's appropriate for each skin type?
Yeah, well, again, it depends on the pigment and on the skin type, and that's why we can't. There has to be a formula that you follow for each kind of skin type, because it's going to be different, and it's going to be different with the technique, and it's going to be different with the pigment. If you put that amount of orange in an inorganic pigment, that's coming back orange. They're coming back orange, yeah. But with something that's got a lot of carbon in it, you need it to balance that out.
Yeah,
so
it depends.
Yeah, you just need to know what's coming back to you. So that is not scary to me.
Yeah.
But
is this something that will be solved with your 3-step system? I haven't seen it, you guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, totally. Because I know what that pigment is and what's in it. And so therefore I know what I have to use in it. But if it was a different pigment, maybe that is way too orange. But for this, it's perfect. Those are going to come back a really nice shade of brown. They should be. I mean, it was Veronica that said to me, Veronica Fleiss, that said that she mixes the color and the pink Cal Heights, but oh, that's nice. And then she turns her back and
she adds more.
Just like stick a load more orange in. Good squeeze of orange, because it will scare your clients. You know, to see them like, I mean, because even with eyeliner, I'll be putting orange or red in it.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Okay, this is coming out in my next YouTube, which I might as well tell you, I'm going to start sharing on a Monday because a man told me to. So Mondays are just better, and it also gives me an extra day to edit.
Yeah.
But this is coming up from, this is one of the tests that I do. This is coming up from my next YouTube. And actually these glasses all contain lip pigments, and they all contain a similar shade of red, and they all contain 1 drop.
One drop. One drop.
1 drop of pigment.
Wow.
So, yeah. Again, one of the tests that you can do to know what you're working with. So looking at that, if you were to use one of those pigments, which one would you think is going to make you sit there for an hour implanting in the same place?
Yeah, obviously this ghost over here on my left is going to take me ages to make any kind of real impact.
Yeah. And what I did actually is I left them to settle so that we could see what the ingredients were as well in there. I mean, I can look what the ingredients, but I can see the percentage of the ingredients from 1 drop just from, you know, putting it in some water. Middle one is organic, high pigment concentration. But the one on the right is also inorganic, but with some, well, quite a lot of titanium in it, and that's actually a body tattoo pigment that people are using for lips a lot.
Wow.
So so if you wanted, again, it's which one are you wanting to use? These better for beginners. But again, a beginner could be put off by using those because it is going to take ages. But look, it's done absolutely
And
nothing.
look, the longer you spend as a beginner on lips, the more scared you are, the more damage and trauma you're causing, the more that lip is going to swell and weep. So your before and afters are going to suck too. And your client is going to feel like they didn't get any real pigment.
Yeah. But this one, again, you'd need to know what you were doing with it, because this is so highly
pigmented. You could get yourself into trouble if you don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, but you could achieve a really soft result by just using that sparingly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's how I know. And this one is a body tattoo pigment, but that had a lot of titanium, which sank down to the bottom.
Yeah.
So
with high titanium in lips specifically, that's going to float around at the top, and you'll have what looks like dead lips.
If it's got too much in, absolutely.
Put a ton of titanium in.
Titanium in my next video, not wanting to like spoil things, but I sort of say, like if you've got plutonium and use it properly, you can light up a whole town. But if you use it incorrectly, it's a bomb.
Yeah. Well,
that's titanium is not bad, but if you don't know the percentages and you don't know what's going in and you don't know how much, and if you overuse it, it will push it to the top, and you've got franken lips coming back. So this is one of the tests that I use. How can I stop sharing now? Stop sharing there.
And as you said it, this just made it so much better.
I'm so having such a good time on here.
I like this new tech.
We can actually like present. So I thought that was interesting. That's what's coming up. I'm going to talk about that on my next video, which is going to come out on Monday. So I just wondered if that's something that people do and look at the ingredients of the pigments when they use them, because I know that it's what I get asked about the most. Skin type, color theory, pigments.
100%. And they always say, what's the best brand? Which pigment's best for nano? What pigment's best for? And the answer is always, it depends, but it sounds like you're just shirking them off. But really, they just want a cut and dry answer, and there's not one. The answer is you have to learn.
Yeah. So those lip pigments would all be beneficial for different people. If you had someone who had very pale lips that's like, look, I just don't want anything really strong. I want a natural look. I don't want that really filled in lipstick look. Then the first pigment is going to be really good for you. That's an inorganic pigment. That one I can tell because of how it all like sank to the bottom, and also it's a really low pigment load because there was chuff all in the glass. That's very Yorkshire, chuff all in the glass. So for a beginner, that would be good. And for a person that wanted a really subtle look, that's going to be good. So that would be that best pigment. If you want someone that wants not necessarily a stronger look, but if you want to get in and get out and be like, when I use those pigments, like the middle one, my clients come back with the most amazing retention, which I know for a lot of people is hard to get for lips.
Yeah, especially if there's lots of swelling or edema going on. So if there are people out there watching right now who are thinking, okay, this is interesting, I don't know any of this stuff, where can they learn it, Katie?
They can learn it. We've got a pigmentology and color theory class where I'm going to break it down into, we're going to cover all the skin types, all the pigment types, and we're going to put you back in charge of making those decisions. I'm going to teach you a really easy 3-step system to being able to pick the correct pigment for the correct client and the correct technique every single time, and be able to predict your healed results more accurately.
Perfect. And I have that pigmentology workshop linked below. And Katie, I'm sure you did as well, right?
I am going to link it forthwith.
Perfect. So in the meantime, I think your video comes out on Monday. Then the workshop is on Thursday. Yeah. In between that, I'm going to propose that we do one more live. What do you think?
I think so. Do you know why? I just really enjoy them as well.
Same.
I really enjoyed them. And so many people commented and said that they got so much out of the last one. So great.
Perfect.
And okay. Hang out with my bestie, even though we're thousands of miles apart.
Too far. So far away. I'll see you in Bali. But I'll see you right back here Monday or Tuesday of next week.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Ciao.